Well, the problem was actually that what came out of the Treasury was not a target. It was a scenario, it was a forecast. And we are now so used to targets being issued by government agencies all the time that it was misinterpreted by the media, that people thought, okay, this must be some kind of target because it came out of the Treasury, when in fact it was just stating the obvious. They were just modeling what's happening anyway. And there's little that government can really do to change what's happening on the population front. And then the response by the government to appoint a sustainable population minister was really trying to pretend they were doing something, that they were in control of the process, when in fact they are not. There's no point discussing whether Australia is going to grow or not because it's programmed in. It's kind of futile. I mean, you can't argue against the sun rising every morning. It's just happening. In similar ways, the population is developing. But what we are saying is perhaps it's not such a big deal, not such a big problem really, because we can deal with it. Australia is built on migration. Australia is built on population growth. It's been happening since 1788. And it's a country that was built on migration and migrant success stories. And so it's quite difficult to understand how the same migrants or their descendants now turn around and say, well, actually migration was not just a good idea because it's terrible and will just lead to overcrowding and rising house prices and water shortages. And what we know is, of course, this is not going to happen because Australia currently produces enough food to feed 100 million people, not just 22. And we have enough water to deal with all the water needs we have. The problem is, of course, that water is not properly priced and poorly managed, but that's a different story. And of course we have traffic problems. Everybody who commutes to and from work knows that we have some traffic problems in this country. But again, these traffic problems are not the direct result of migration, but of poor traffic policies. And if you have a better traffic management policy and you're dealing, for example, with road pricing, with building new roads, with building better rail connections, with providing extra airports that this country needs, you can solve all these problems. You can actually create traffic chaos even in a stagnant population if you don't get your policy right. It's not a real alternative to go back to the 1950s. We have to actually build an Australia for the 21st century, and I say it is possible. So take the debate away from the simplifiers and let's actually discuss real issues. Let's discuss how we can build the houses we need, how we can provide better transport experiences to our people, how we can provide for the water this country needs, and how to make it possible that this country actually grows much better, because we have a unique opportunity in Australia. Other countries would kill for our problems. Look at Europe, they are shrinking, their population is aging, they're losing their workforce. They don't know how to finance their social security systems anymore. And that's because of demographic change, that's because of demographic decline and of demographic aging. And Australia should avoid this trap. We have a chance to actually keep Australia growing and keep it a prosperous place, an attractive place. And I think to argue against this is actually missing out on the big opportunity that this country really has. The things that you need to do about population growth are the things that politicians should do anyway. We all know that we should fix federalism. We all know that we should empower local government. We all know that we have to deal with the vertical fiscal imbalance. I mean, obscure fiscal concept, of course, but it's important because we need to get the incentives right to deal with population growth at a local level. So all of these things need to be fixed anyway. We know we have to fix infrastructure. We know we have to fix New South Wales railway lines, for example. It is quite tragic. I mean, you see what other countries are achieving in very short periods of time, building new underground lines, building new high-speed trail lines, and we are still dealing and arguing endlessly over 4 kilometers of extra rail for Sydney. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we have got a unique opportunity, and we are just moving at a snail's pace. If you want the alternative, look at Greece, or look at Italy, or look at Spain. These are countries that are clearly not growing, and they would really love to have the opportunities that Australia offers. We are in a perfect position. For the first time in its white settlement history, Australia is in the right spot at the right time. It is actually an advantage now to be far away from Europe and America. We are right here where the action is happening. We are right in the middle of Asia. We have our biggest customers right on our doorstep. We have a growing population. We're sitting on endless resources. This is the chance to build an even better and even more prosperous Australia, and we're missing out on these chances at our peril.